Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in to Fat to Fit Revolution. Whether you're listening to the podcast, you're watching the YouTube video, please comment, like, subscribe, and share with everybody you know, anybody that you think this would be helpful for. Thanks for tuning in. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm just going to give you a heads up. I do have some notes for the show today. So if you see me looking down, I am just keeping track of my notes because I tend to get off subject. So I do have a notebook, and you will see me looking down at that. So I'm just going to jump right in. Today I'm going to be talking about a gradual approach that is sustainable, and it's just going to help you find what fits for your lifestyle. So there are tons of components to this journey. We all know, especially as women, we have hormones and things like that. So today I'm just going to kind of go through some basic things that I have learned throughout my journey that have helped me things to really focus on, to play with, and see what really works for your lifestyle. So, as we know, when you get on social media, you see all of these fitness models, all of these diet plans, and it can be very, very overwhelming. So, take it from somebody who's tried out tons of these diets, tons of these cookie cutter ways to eat, these one size fits all. It doesn't work for everybody. So, you need something that's going to fit in with your lifestyle. You need something that's going to fit in if you have kids. And that you're going to be able to enjoy with your family. So stay tuned. We're going to be talking about those things. When I started my journey at 266 pounds, nutrition was not something that I really focused on, and I definitely should have. So, nutrition was the last thing actually that I incorporated into my diet and lifestyle change. And I should have done that first, but I didn't know the importance of it. So, learn from my mistakes. And I do have show notes, so if you see me looking down, I'm just going to make sure that I don't forget anything. So, this journey is all about what fits your lifestyle, what works best for you, and there's all of these components that go with it. Um, and one of those things is sleep. Another one is what kind of exercises you're doing, what kind of body type you have. And I'll post some links to some other podcasts that actually really discuss and go into depth and have interviews with these experts in those areas. But body types are so important to learn about yourself, and it's all a trial and error. So if you're tracking things, that's the best way to really find what works for you and your lifestyle. So today I'm going to be discussing a lot of things, a lot of different components that I've learned that affected my journey, and I really, really hope that this helps you today too. So the first component that I'm going to talk about is sleep. Sleep is so important. I think it's one of those things that people forget about when they're not losing weight or they're not getting the results that they want. They forget that sleep is super important when it comes to getting those results. So if you're not sleeping well at night, I'm a new mom. I have not new mom, but I have a 3-year-old and I have a almost 5-month-old. And sometimes I don't get the best quality sleep. It's not a straight through sleep. Sometimes I'm awake, I'm nursing, I need to run down and get a drink of water, I need to go to the restroom. So my sleep is definitely one of those things that when I really started after I was cleared by my doctor to start, getting back into my health and fitness journey, sleep is a really important component to me that I failed to realize can affect my results. So I was doing well with my diet, I was working out, I was doing proper workouts that, that I was cleared for, postpartum geared, and I could not figure out why my results were just not where I wanted them to be. And then I started listening to podcasts, and I really noticed that an emphasis was put on sleep in so many of these podcasts that they were talking about, how to get results and how important sleep was to your journey and how it can affect your results. So I really started focusing on my sleep. I found the times that I, the times that I was waking up and really trying to find what pattern of sleep worked well for me. And one of those things is sometimes I need to sleep in because throughout the night I'm awake. That's what works for me. It may not work for somebody else. If you don't have kids, you can really go, kind of play with your sleep and see what works for you, what yields results, what kind of holds you back. And if you wear like a fitness tracker, sometimes they have apps. They're not going to be completely accurate, but that's a good way to measure how much sleep you're getting as well. So the next thing I'm going to talk about with sleep is playing around with it. So if you are the type of person, and I'm the type of person that needs to sleep at least 9 or 10 hours at night, and with kids, that's not always solid sleep. But I do have to get quite a bit of sleep to feel like I have the energy for the day, to really, wake up and get things done for the day. Somebody else may require a little more, some may require less, and it's just kind of whatever works for your lifestyle. And all of these things that I'm going to talk about is whatever suits your lifestyle best. It's all trial and error. The great thing about it is you can track it and see, right when you fall asleep, if you wake up in the middle of the night, kind of just maybe note it down or make a voice memo and say, I woke up to do this at this time. So you're not getting these solid sleeps, but you can kind of see what your normal bedtime is and what your normal wake up time is, and see if that's enough for you. Because for some people it may be enough, it may be too much, it may not be enough at all. So definitely keep that in mind when it comes to sleep. And it's one that people really, really forget about. I know it wasn't a concern for me until I started to educate myself about how important sleep is. And I will tag those podcasts that I'm talking about. Really great thing to listen to. And definitely one of the things that affects sleep is technology. So if you are able to put down your phone at least, 20, 30 minutes before bed, it can really help to improve your sleep. And I will talk about how to improve your sleep on another episode, but definitely try to focus on that. Try to track it and see what works best for you. Now let's talk about another under-recognized component of this journey, and that is mindset. If you go into this journey and you don't have the right mindset, your results are most likely not going to be sustainable. I know for me, I was gung-ho about working out. I said I wasn't so focused on nutrition, which played a part in it, but my mindset was huge, especially someone coming from where food was, part of that mindset. It was really easy for me to forget that mindset was such an important component. So the thing about it is when you're starting this journey, you have to really focus and kind of put blinders onto your own journey. You're going to see other people's journeys. You're going to, if you don't have the right mindset, you're going to compare. You're going to say, why am I not getting these results like this person and they're doing the same thing? And that goes back to a cookie cutter thing. You have to find out what works best for you and your lifestyle and what your needs are. And a good thing to do when you're trying to develop that positive mindset is work on yourself from a self-development level. So whether that's podcasts, whether that's books, the audiobooks, YouTube videos, whatever works best for you, definitely take that time, make that time. If you say, oh, I don't have time to do this. Well, yeah, you do. You just have to make the time, whether that's listening to a morning podcast, before you look at any social media or while you're having your coffee. Definitely do that, because you're going to take away a lot and you're not even going to realize how it can make those little shifts in your mindset. And you're just like, wow, you have all these non-scale victories, especially in the mindset area, because it is a really under-recognized component of this journey. So definitely don't take it all. Don't go with that all or nothing mentality, because those results are not sustainable. So if you go hard and everything and you just try to do everything at once, it's going to be really overwhelming, at least for most people. Some people can do it, but I know for me, working out was the first thing I took on. Then it was hydration. And and mindset was kind of like on the back burner, and I didn't really realize until I started to struggle a little bit when I wasn't seeing results, and that had a lot to do with other ties in my journey. But mindset is super important. Working on self-development is going to make your results sustainable. So definitely keep on that. Make the time for it. Like I said, podcasts are a great way to do that. If you have the time to sit down and take notes, it's even better. It'll help you absorb more. But definitely keep that in mind when it comes to your journey. And take gradual steps. The key is gradual steps. Don't try to read an entire book just because somebody suggested it. It may not work for your mindset. It may be something that you need to listen to podcasts. Maybe you're not a book reader, so podcasts are great. I am a huge fan of podcasts because not only do I have my own podcast that I've published, but I have been able to help other people by listening and learning through other podcasts. The Shailene Show, the Model Health Show, Rise, those are all really good self-development podcasts that you can look into. I will link them in my show notes too. So definitely you need to be mentally ready for the physical transformation, and in order to do that, you have to have a sustainable mindset of positivity, and you're not always going to be positive. There's going to be ups and downs in every part of this journey, because it is a journey. It's not something that you want to start and stop many times, and you may have to do that in order to get into the right mindset. But definitely take on things a little bit at a time. You don't have to take on the whole shebang at once and then get so overwhelmed that you just want to quit and give up and you want to go back to bad habits. Definitely focus on that mindset, getting into that positive mindset, and do not compare your journey to anybody else's, because you don't know what somebody's background or behind the scenes looks like. I have a lot of people say to me a lot of times, oh, I wish I had XYZ that you have. Well, I've been working on this journey for 3 years. That's 3 years of hard work, and it hasn't always been easy. I have my own struggles. I have my own setbacks. But the key was I was working on self-development from very early on until now, and I still will continue to work on it because this is a journey. This is a lifestyle. I'm definitely going to be putting my all into everything because this journey affects other aspects of my life, and that's what a lot of people fail to realize. When you're happier within yourself, starting from the inside, you're gonna be happier outside. People are gonna notice. They're gonna say, you've really got this glow about you. You've got this really positive vibe or aura or whatever, and that all comes from personal development, which ties into mindset. So the next thing we're going to talk about is nutrition. Nutrition is 80% of this. You can't overhaul your nutrition all at once because it will be overwhelming. Some people can, like I said. And take it from me, learn from my mistakes. I tried so many diets. I tried so many, hacks and this and that. And what it all comes down to is you have to think of fuel. Food is fuel. So yes, you can enjoy healthy food. You can enjoy food that is good for your body. And it may not all happen at once. So I have a lot of clients come to me and say, hey, I'm following such and such meal plan. Seems like a lot of protein for me, or this seems like a lot of veggies for me, or I don't think I can, eat this much fat or whatever. And it's not about taking on everything at one time. So the key here is to start gradual, to start with small changes, things like adding more veggies into each meal. One of my hacks for adding veggies to meals is when I make a pasta dish or I make a pizza dish, I add power greens. So I just throw them into the sauce with whatever toppings, or throw them on top of the pizza, whatever. and it really adds extra veggies, but it's still delicious, and it's still that good flavor that kind of, you know, you don't want to miss, um, especially when you are taking nutrition seriously. So maybe instead of a regular pizza crust or a multigrain pizza crust, you use a cauliflower pizza crust. Even some places have them at restaurants now. Not currently where I am, but you can buy them online and stuff too. So it's all about taking those small changes and kind of, once you have those established for 3 to 4 weeks, then go ahead and add another habit in there. So let's say for these 3 or 4 weeks, you're going to add more veggies. This time you're gonna go for lean proteins. That doesn't have to be meat. That can be any protein that is, lean. That can be fish. That can be whatever you like. Whatever protein fits your lifestyle. It's all about trial and error. And a great thing to do, again, just like sleep, is tracking every single thing you're putting in your mouth. At least for, I would say, 90 days minimum. But if 90 days seems like a lot, just do it, let's say 21 days or 30 days at a time. Track, what kind, you don't even have to be like specific, like you don't have to measure everything, but definitely track it, because you can see, oh, this is working, I enjoy this meal and I'm getting results by eating this. And you can kind of, you study your tracker, study what you're tracking, your food, and see really what works for your lifestyle. Maybe you had this meal and it seemed really healthy, but it just didn't work for your body and your lifestyle. So change it up, see what works. It doesn't have to be monotony. You can try different things. You can explore and do things like cauliflower mashed potatoes, or cauli mash. You can do things like cauli rice. Green Giant has a really great line of cauli mash. I just get the olive and sea salt one. It's much easier for me and my lifestyle to just go ahead and buy it from the store. They've got frozen things. There's a lot of grocery stores that sell fresh cauliflower rice, and I find that is really versatile, and you can really add whatever you want to it. You can play with it. You can see what works for you. I like to play with different dishes. You can use them as a replacement for potatoes, which is really, really great. So you just have to find what works for you. And that goes with tracking. Tracking is going to be so helpful for you, and what works and what doesn't. So definitely keep that in mind. And then don't get overwhelmed with the tracking. Don't overthink it. I think a lot of people get overwhelmed because they overthink it. Like, oh, I have to have so many veggies and I'm tired of the same vegetables. And so change it up. Maybe you don't require so many veggies. Maybe you need more protein in your diet. I'm finding that I need more protein and veggies to keep me full. And fat is kind of a lever for me. Some days I need more, some days I need less. It's just whatever fits your lifestyle, and tracking will help you find out what works for you. It's going to be trial and error, but take it from me. Do not find a diet. Find a lifestyle that works for you. What works for you is not going to work for your next door neighbor, or your, find out what works for you and your family unit and go with it and track. I mean, that's the best thing to do, is track. So next I am going to talk about avoiding my mistakes. So I have gradually incorporated things that work better for my lifestyle. So learn from my mistakes. When you're exploring your nutrition, when you're exploring self-development, when you're exploring all the aspects of this journey, don't listen to a kind of he said, she said. Find out for yourself. Like I said, it's all trial and error. 3 years of trial and error has yielded some really great results, and it's yielded some results that I wish that I had done a little bit more trial and error and not followed what somebody told me. So like I said, I'm learning that I need more proteins, more veggies, and less carbs. And that's what works for me, and that may not be what works for somebody else. Maybe somebody else needs little to no carbs. And so another great thing to do is explore whatever diets, I hate the word diets, whatever nutrition paths you think may fit your lifestyle. So if keto works for you, great. Keto did not work for me. And I know I'll probably get a lot of hateful comments about that, but it just didn't work for me. It didn't work for my lifestyle. Tried it for like 4 months, and I just didn't have the results that I wanted. My hormones were suffering, my body was suffering, my hair was falling out. But that's for me. That may not be for somebody else. And that's where you have to kind of put your blinders on and not do this comparison game, because that in the end is just going to really affect your mindset. It's really, really going to get you into, well, why does it work for him or her, but it didn't work for me? You really have to keep that in mind. You really have to focus on just your journey, where you are, and work on trial and error. I look at trial and error as utilities to add to my belt as part of this journey. So I know keto doesn't work for me now. Okay, so let's try more of a diet based on lower carbs still. But still enjoy carbs, still have those carbs in my diet, because that's what my body needs. Your body may need something else, and you really, really just have to explore and find out what nutrition path works for you, but do make sure that it is sustainable. Make sure that, you are feeling good on it. Make sure you have energy, and sometimes you may need to switch it up. So a good thing that you can do for that is, so when you need to mix it up, a good thing you can do is add intermittent fasting. See if that works for you. Try to find your windows. Do your own research. Don't depend on somebody else's journey to have your journey's research. So you're unique. Your body is unique. Unique things are going to work for you. These cookie cutter ways of living are not going to be sustainable for you because they're not personalized for you. And you really have to find what works for you. Maybe you need to mix things up every 3 to 4 weeks, or maybe you need to mix things up every 3 to 4 months. Really find what works for you, what mindset, personal development things are your go-to. So for me, it's podcast. And I do read some personal development books, but because I do have 2 kids, it's really hard for me to sit down. I do make the time. Another thing to do is really write to-do lists of things that you want to get accomplished during the day. And let's start out with 3 things. That goes into a gradual approach as well. And do that. So that's just learn from my mistakes. Find what works for you. Don't listen if somebody tells you, well, I did keto and it worked for me, or I did paleo and it worked for me, because it may not work for you. Your journey is as unique as a thumbprint. And remember that when you're starting or you're restarting, or you're in the middle and you're kind of stuck, or you need to switch things up, just play around. Trial and error is so fun. Sometimes it can be frustrating, but a lot of times it really opens up to your eyes what possibilities there are, and what things are going to be in your journey that you're just going to learn so much from, because this is a learning process and it's not always going to be linear. You are going to have those ups and downs, those obstacles. It's not always going to be easy, but you have to keep pushing on, and determination will keep you pushing on, progressing. And don't focus on perfection, because perfection doesn't exist. Progress is going to be your best friend, and you just really have to focus on that. Which brings me to the scale. I know, we all hate the scale. And I used to be at that mindset. I used to dread getting on the scale. I dreaded measurement and weigh-in days. The numbers, if they weren't there, would just really get into my head. And this is why I encourage, if you're able to, if you're not in the mindset where you can weigh daily, don't do it. But for me, I find that weighing every single day helps me, one, track my weight to see if what I'm doing nutrition-wise and exercise-wise is working. Because I am tracking my food, I can study my tracker and see, okay, this meal worked. This day, I had weight loss the next day. So what did I eat that day? Okay, let's try it again. Am I going to eat the same thing again on Tuesday that I ate on Sunday? If I have the same results, then I'll know that those are meals that are working for me and my lifestyle. And I can continue to add those meals in and play around and mix and match and see what other meals work for me. And that's a good thing that goes back to tracking. So the scale is a really dreaded topic, I think, especially for women, because we have all these hormones and we fluctuate so much. So when you are weighing, you need to weigh first thing in the morning after you go to the bathroom. So before you drink anything, before you eat anything, before you take any supplements or anything, unless you medically need to take medicine or something, like as soon as you wake up, definitely do that, because even if you drink or eat something just really tiny, it can really affect that number, and it's going to throw off, kind of how you're feeling that day or with those results or whatever. So first thing in the morning, I suggest tracking daily. I track daily. And what I've found with tracking daily is you're not so tied to the number on the scale. You're not so overwhelmed with, okay, well, over the week, I only lost a pound, because you can see how your weight fluctuates through the week. Maybe you're about to have your cycle, or maybe you just finished your cycle and your weight can fluctuate. So that's a really good thing to do and look at, because I think we forget that there's so much that goes on within our bodies, chemistry and biology and all those crazy science things that are going on inside your body. We really forget that there's fluctuations, and that the number on the scale really gets in our mind if it's not the number that we want or we're expecting, or things aren't going as fast as we want. Keep that in mind. So the scale, I know a lot of people have a negative mindset. I look at it as a tool to utilize. I don't look at it as the tool. I don't look at it as telling me if what I'm doing is right or wrong. It can be helpful, but the other two things that you need to do in addition to the scale, well, let's say three things. Non-scale victories are huge. Whether that's you were able to go 5 or 10 more seconds during a workout, stamina-wise or endurance-wise, whether your pants fit better, whether your mood is better, whether you feel like you're being a better parent or a spouse. Keep those things in mind. The other thing is measurements and pictures. I'm going to lump those together. So let's go back to these are the three things. Measurements and pictures. Pictures, people. Even if you do not show them to anybody else, you need to take pictures for yourself. Because what I'm going to tell you is I am so glad at 266 pounds that I got uncomfortable and I took pictures of myself. Because now, at 186 or 185 pounds, depending on the day and what my hormones are doing, I am able to take these two pictures when I'm kind of feeling that I'm not getting any results, or I kind of forget how far I've come, and I can put them side by side and say, wow, look, that's 80 pounds gone. That's 80 pounds of hard work. That's 80 pounds that are never coming back, because this is a journey. This is a lifestyle. This is not something that is ever going to finish. And I think it's really, really important to keep those in mind. Measurements as well. Some days I step on the scale and the scale's up, but the inches are down. Or the scale stays the same and the inches are down. Or I'm really, really sore, so my leg measurements are up, but my arm measurements are down, or whatnot. These things are so important. They're tools to utilize in addition with the scale. So don't let the scale freak you out. I know a lot of people have that negative mindset, but definitely try to work on that mindset shift from the scale is so scary, I hate stepping on the scale, I'm going to throw my scale out, and think of it more as, okay, this is a tool, but that number doesn't define my success. It doesn't define where I am, and I'm not going to let that affect my determination to keep going. So the next thing I want to talk about is hydration, water intake. I think a lot of people forget about the importance of water intake. So the body is made up of approximately 80% of water. I'm not going to go into the science of it, but your body needs water. I know a lot of people say, oh, yeah, I know I need to drink more water, but I hate the taste. Well, there's things you can do. You can add flavors, natural flavors. So you can add some berries, cut up some strawberries and put them in there. You can add mint, cucumber, lemon, lime, whatever you want to dress up your water that's going to make you drink more, because water is super important. Let's talk about one of the things that it's important for. Your muscles, when you are lifting weights and you're building muscle, you create tiny little tears, just really tiny microscopic tears, and they're not bad. They're actually good. It rebuilds your muscle, and really helps you to burn fat and things like that. But what happens is when you're sore, you have that lactic acid, and what you really need to do to get rid of that lactic acid is to drink water, because it's going to flush it out. Obviously, you need to eat things to help the muscle rebuild properly, and that's a whole other science. I'm not claiming to be an expert. But what I am telling you is those days when I'm sore, I tend to drink more water, and I have noticed that the next day, or a few days afterwards, that I'm not as sore, because I make sure to up my water intake, because I know the importance of water. I drink a ton of water every day anyways. I love water. It's all I drink, really, besides my coffee in the morning, mushroom coffee in the morning. And I track my water. So again, tracking, super important. Make sure if you are just starting out, or you're trying to take little steps to make those big changes, water is going to be your best friend. Tracking your water is going to be your best friend. And I really suggest for clients who have a hard time, who get overwhelmed with the whole thing, is starting out with water when you're making those small changes. Half your body weight in ounces a day, at least. So minimum. I drink way more than that. But I also, the water doesn't bother me. It's something that I know I need, and it's something I prefer. Even when I go to a restaurant, I don't drink soda. It's so rare when I drink it. I really just have no desire for it. But water, like, I always have my water bottle, at least one water bottle with me. And my husband was just telling me today, you drink a lot of water. Like, we have a Brita filter on our counter, and it holds, I think, about 4 or 5 of these 30-ounce things. And I usually fill it up at least twice a day, sometimes 3 days, depending on, I really just crave water. The more water you drink, the more water you generally crave. So keep in mind that water is so important. Do not let your water game slip. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, I make a lot of reminders about drinking water, because I know how important it is, and it's going to help all areas. It's going to help your muscle soreness, be a little bit less. It's going to help you feel hydrated, because when you get dehydrated, it can cause issues with your results as well. So, cheers to water. Make sure you get yours in every single day. If this is something you have to start with water. Then add in whatever. I would suggest water, then nutrition. And nutrition and mindset kind of go hand in hand. So definitely be working on mindset as well. Like I said, podcasts, whatever. But track everything you put in your mouth. Track your water intake. And you will see results. You will start to see patterns, and then you can change those patterns. Or you can kind of switch it up and see what works for you, what doesn't. So with that being said, I'm going to just have a look at my notes to make sure I'm not missing anything. So being successful is being sustainable. A lot of people will go on these crash diets or these fad diets, and they'll lose all this weight, and then once they start to add back in things that they weren't eating before, they gain the weight back, or they usually gain weight back and then more than they had already done it. So not only with your nutrition being sustainable, but your exercise being sustainable. So if you're going ham at the gym 7 days a week and you're running crazy amounts of miles, or doing crazy HIIT cardio 7 days a week, it can really negatively affect your body, because one, that much cardio is just insane. I don't think I know anybody who enjoys cardio that much. And if you do, great. If you're a runner, awesome. But make sure that you're also lifting weights. So making something sustainable, your body needs rest. Making sure that you give yourself, let's say, 1 to 3 days of rest. Active rest, that means you can walk, do things with your family. You don't need to just lay on the couch all day. But definitely give your body that rest period, because it needs that rest to rebuild and recover from whatever exercises you're doing. But cardio can do more damage than good. If you're doing too much cardio, it can actually raise your cortisol levels and actually make you hold on to fat. It's a fight or flight response that your body has. But strength training is super beneficial. Even if you're not a bodybuilder or power lifter, strength training is good for your body. It helps you build that healthy, lean muscle. And on top of that, the more muscle you have, the more calories you burn throughout the whole day. And even at rest. So that's awesome. Who doesn't want to burn calories just sitting down or watching TV? I think everybody is. I'm pretty sure if everybody could just do that and lose weight, they would. Mental benefits aside of exercise, but it definitely has a positive impact. So you're going to want to definitely add weightlifting if you're not already doing that, or if you're just starting out. Make sure that there are, let's say, 2 to 4 days of weightlifting, and this goes back to body type. So if you look up what your body type is, there are 3 different body types: an ectomorph, an endomorph, and a mesomorph. And you can be a combination of them, but you can really find out what exercises work for your body type, what kind of nutrition, and I will post a link to an awesome kind of quiz for that, and also a podcast that talks about body types and how important it is to know your body type for your journey. And I will post that in the show notes as well. So just remember that perfection does not exist. It's impossible, but progress is not. So focus on your progress, even if it's little things like, hey, I drank 2 more ounces of water today, or hey, I was able to run 30 seconds. I was able to sprint for 30 seconds, or I was able to lift heavier weights, or whatever it is, whether it's mindset, nutrition, exercise, hydration, you had a non-scale victory. Keep those things in mind. Those are all important. And you definitely want to have those positive impacts. You're going to have your ups and downs, but stay determined, because determination is key to everything. Motivation is going to ebb and flow, but determination is what's going to keep you driving. You want to crave those results more than you crave fast fixes. So make sure you're tracking everything if you can. Jot it down in your memos on your face or on your phone, and stay accountable. Having accountability is huge. Find groups, fitness groups. There's tons of free groups, tons of paid groups, and test groups and things like that. So definitely find accountability, because that's going to help you, and post away. Like, the more accountable you are to yourself and to other people, the better results you're going to have. So I'm just going to end with this. This is a journey. This is a lifestyle. And finding something that is sustainable for life is going to be super beneficial to you. It's going to make a huge impact on your life in all areas. And my advice would be to really just focus on small things. Once you have them down pat, you're doing great, you're staying consistent for 3 to 4 weeks, then add in something else small. Because those small changes are going to turn into habits, and those small habits and changes are going to turn into big results. Like I said, it's taken me 3 years to lose 80 pounds. Granted, I had a baby in between. My daughter is 5 months old. And I have a 3-year-old. I'm busy, but I find what fits my lifestyle. I play around, trial and error, track things. I really stay accountable to myself and to my clients and anybody else who really needs that accountability and needs that drive and needs that motivation and inspiration. So I just want you all to remember that you have greatness inside of you. Nourish it, let it flourish, share it with the world, and just be that positive impact in your own life and somebody else's life. Thank you so much for joining me today and taking the time to listen and having this time with me. If you liked what was shared today, please comment and let me know what else you'd like to learn about, what other things you'd like me to discuss, and please share, subscribe, and let everybody know. And I hope to see you soon.